What up, everyone? Robert here in the City of Industry at Frank Sons Collectibles. So I'm here with my buddy Connor and his brother. We're going to be picking up some cards. Well, they are. I'm just going to be chilling here with them. And then afterwards, we're going to head over to a diner somewhere. We're going to go play some cards. So I'll be playing some Yu-Gi-Oh, maybe some Vanguard, and some Pokemon. So, hope you guys enjoy it. Alright, so 3 hours later, Connor's got all his cards. How much did you spend, Connor?
Like over 400 bucks.
Spent 400 bucks. It's not too bad.
On shiny pieces of paper.
Oh shit, we're in the middle of the street. Probably should get out of the way.
I traded non-shiny pieces of paper, you know, like with the presidents on them, they're kind of dead people. And I got shiny pieces of paper.
Alright.
So I consider that a plus.
Well, he plus, boys. Anyway, now we're finally gonna go play. And then, yeah, we'll see where we go from there. Alright, so this is the only interesting match that we played, and Connor's going to be starting us off. He's going to be doing the whole Zoo combo, so I'm going to be speeding through this. So talking about the matchup, I'm playing True Dracos, and he's playing Pure Zoo with 2 Fusion Substitute. So he's going to have to go through the entire +5 combo. And this match is going to showcase a couple of things. One, Zoo is pretty fucking broken, which I'm sure you guys already know. And even after gaining all the resources and breaking his board, he's still going to be able, ultimately, to win the game. So the other thing I want to showcase is the ability for True Draco to play into the massive card advantage that Zoo can generate. We have a lot of answers. We have the trap cards. I main deck Chalice, and all of the small True Dracos inherently have a way to recoup advantage with their search effects. So not only are we getting to tribute for free, since our spells and traps pop stuff, we are also gaining advantage from the small True Draco. So that allows us to keep up with the massive amount of pluses that the Zoodiac player can obtain. So it will not be surprising to me coming into the next format when Zoo don't have this ridiculous +5. It won't be surprising for me to see True Draco, pure True Draco at the top. So Connor's going to finish up here. He's going to be opening with Emerald, Dryden, and 3 back row, and I'm going to start my turn. So I open the one of Stormforth. This is going to be a really, really good card for me because now I'm going to be able to eliminate the Dryden threat. And that's going to allow me to safely play diagram. And I'm doing this first because I want to be able to get a search off if he responds to anything. So if he has Ghost Ogre, Ash Blossom, anything like that, I'm going to at least +1 off of the Dynamite Knuckle. So in this situation, for example, if he were to Ash Blossom, now that I've already established the Dynamite, if he Ash Blossoms, yeah, he's going to stop my terraforming, but I'm at least going to be able to take advantage of him activating an effect on my turn. So it's important that if you're playing True Dracos, you summon the small True Dracos first prior to doing anything on your turn. So then now I'm going to activate Diagram, and he's going to activate it when I activate it, so I guess he didn't really understand the timing of the card. Ghostslugger says that it has to be already face up. So he needs to wait until I activate it before chaining it, and I'm sure you guys already know that. So that's going to allow me to trigger now my Dynamite, and it appears that he's going to have a strike, so that's kind of unfortunate for us, and that's kind of one of the downsides of going second into Zoo. They're going to have strikes, they're going to have warning, they're going to have ways to negate your Dynamite Knuckle, but we were able to 1-for-1 with his Solemn Strike. So now I'm going to resolve my Pot of Desires. So Pot of Avarice is my proxy for Pot of Desires, and that's going to allow me to draw 2 cards. So basically, these cards are allowing me, like these draw cards and all of these, like playing the Dynamite first, these are allowing me to play into his back row and play into his fields, despite him opening ridiculous. And you can see now that I'm going to be able to break his board. So I'm going to tribute Disciples, going to summon Majesty Maiden, and now Maiden's going to allow me to search if he activates anything. And my spell card's going to pop a card. So he opened a field of Dryden's, Emerald, and 3 back row, and now he's left with Emerald, which is about to get destroyed, and 1 back row. So I've successfully answered his board, and if I have a trap card, if he activates anything, I'll be able to search a Masterpiece, I'll be able to disrupt him on his turn, and I can basically solidify my game state if I am able to resolve my Majesty Maiden. So despite completely just destroying his board, you're going to see that he's actually going to be able to come back here and essentially lock me out of the game. So at this point now, if Connor cannot answer my board at this point, then he's going to lose the game. But luckily Zoo is pretty broken. Instant Fusion is a really strong card, and having any normal essentially allows you to come back. So I'm going to attempt to chain a Majesty Maiden, and he's going to have the Chalice. So this is really bad. So now I have absolutely no way to disrupt him during his turn, and I have no way to stop him from going off with the Zoo combo. Now another thing I could do here is if I did have Apocalypse and a trap card, I can destroy 1 monster during his turn, because I can use the Apocalypse to pop True King's Return or another Apocalypse. But in this case, I do not have one. So then now, that's one of the problems that True Draco has, is that we can't really play a ton of traps. We need to play as many continuous spell and traps as we can, so we have the maximum amount of tribute fodder. So consequence of that is that we can't play a ton of traps. We can't play Warning. Well, we can, it's one of, but there's not a lot of space for it. So our disruption mainly comes from being able to tribute our traps during our opponent's turn. And we also can put a lot of pressure if we can establish a diagram, because then now our opponent needs to use their Dryden's on the diagram if they don't have any back row removal, and then that's not material being used to destroy monsters on the field. So it's a tough spot for the Zoodiac player to enter a board when diagrams on the board making everything plus 300, and diagrams also protecting them from battle one time. But I was not able to establish any of that because he had the answers for that. So it's going to be an uphill battle for me unless I can tribute summon during his turn. So me not getting that search off of the Majesty Maiden was huge. That's basically going to spell the end for me. He's going to be able to answer the Majesty Maiden, so now I have no way of searching or gaining advantage because it's no longer going to be able to tribute summon, or rather it's not a tribute summon monster anymore. So like, let's say I bring it back with Return. Yes, it's going to provide a wall for me, but I'm not going to be able to recoup my advantage. So now I'm basically left to top decking. If I can't top deck a tribute summon, then I'm essentially going to lose the game. So now, talking about the Zoo side here, the way that that Connor can solidify his game state is by summoning, all of his things, popping my monster, and then using J9 to summon back Ram Ram. Now what this does is it allows him to have some form of recursion for his field. So if he has a Whiptail, for example, in hand, and I play Raigeki, he can use the Ram Ram that got destroyed to bring back the Trident, and then he can attach Whiptail, so he still has disruption during my turn. So that's very important when establishing boards, is if you can keep a Ram Ram on board, that's going to allow him to keep field presence, and that's going to allow for the maximum disruption during your opponent's turn. So I'm going to... Okay, so what happened was he attacks with Emerald, and I originally used the return to bring back the Dynamite Knuckle, just to soak up damage. But I thought that it's actually better for me to take the damage and then use it after he attacks, because then on the next turn I can use the Dynamite Knuckle and change it to attack mode and actually answer his field. So it's a little better because the 1800 isn't that much damage. I haven't taken any damage yet, and I'm going to be able to turn my Dynamite Knuckle into attack and try to answer his board. So now I'm going to be able to attack the Trident and force him to use the effect to pop my Dynamite. But at this point now, there really isn't much that I can do. I don't have any tribute summon monsters. He's going to be able to activate Emerald for another +1, and it doesn't appear that I have a tribute summon to use during his turn, because I would have tribute summoned during my turn to pop the Dryden, etc. So yeah, at this point he's just going to +1, and that's going to be the end. So if there's anything I could have really done differently here, it's really maybe just the beginning. I could have played things in a different order, perhaps. But other than that, there really isn't much that I could have done. He was going to have the Ghost Ogre for my diagram for sure. So the only really thing I could have done different is maybe do Pot of Desires first before summoning anything, so I could draw into something like a Heritage, or change the way that I was going to draw, and then follow up from there. So I could have maybe drawn a Heritage, I could have maybe drawn something like, what do I main deck? I could draw Pot of Duality. There's a lot of things that I could have potentially drawn, and then maybe tackle this field a lot better. But I elected to summon the Dynamite first, and then that allowed me to search from the deck, and that could have changed the way that the game played out because I would have shuffled the deck. But really thinking about it now, there really wasn't much that I could have done. And yeah, so he's essentially, now I'm just helping him and showing him what he should do to answer my field. Attach Whiptails to banish my target so I can't bring them back, and then obviously bring back the Whiptail again to solidify his field in case I destroy it. And this is going to be the end of the game. So yeah, Zoo's really strong. I really think that this deck is, or rather True Draco is going to be able to stand a chance against this deck once the ban list hits, because once they can't gain the advantage, I feel like True Draco is just going to be able to just be leagues ahead of Zoo, because the amount of pluses that the True Draco player can accumulate over the course of a game is just tremendous. And because all the monsters are really big, coupled with Diagram, it's tough for Zoo to answer it. So I can definitely see True Draco being the next top deck. I mean, Zoos will still be able to contend, but True Draco Demise will actually be a deck that can be played. And yeah, so I'm going to bring back the Dynamite, and I'm going to realize that I really don't have any plays. I did not draw a Masterpiece. I really need a Masterpiece, because then if I was able to tribute Masterpiece using the Dynamite Knuckle and the return, I would have been able to pop a monster and it would have been unaffected by traps. But even if I had the Masterpiece, he drew into a warning, and that would have spelled the end for me. So that's going to conclude the commentary. I hope you guys enjoyed the vlog. It was really fun this day to play Pokemon, to play Vanguard. I know you guys are probably not going to be interested in that, so I didn't post that. But let me know what you guys think. I'm open to any suggestions, and of course, stay tuned for the next one.
For all the marbles.